So leaving FIEA, I definitely wanted, like, I was all about like AAA game space, right? I was like, I want to make these huge, awesome experiences for players that, you know, like giant franchises that people will remember and those kind of things. And you know, it's kind of it took me a while, I guess, to get there. It can be a rough road. Like the industry is tricky sometimes, right? There's a lot of things that happen, and a lot of people want to be in the industry, you know. So there's a lot of competition now. Thankfully, like the time at FIEA gave you a lot of experience and prepared for those kind of trials and endeavors. And so, you know, I was fortunate that coming out of FIEA immediately, I was able to get an internship at Midway, which, you know, was kind of making AAA games. They unfortunately went under, but I had gotten to be an experience. And then over time, I like weaved and meandered my way through, you know, like gaining experience and eventually landing at Epic. And, you know, so I would say long-term met the goal that I was going for. It's, you know, it's just an adventure. You got to get there. So my day-to-day, I'm a lead gameplay programmer at Epic. So I end up having partial responsibilities of a gameplay programmer and writing code, and partial like as a manager and helping like try to grow people's careers, making sure everyone's okay and not blocked and taken care of. So throughout my career at Epic, I've contributed a bit to Gears of War 3. I contributed very significantly to its single-player DLC called ROM Shadow. I've helped here and there a little bit to ship like whatever other products like came down the pipe from our various teams and studios. So I worked a little bit on Gears of War Judgment. I worked a little teeny bit on Infinity Blade 2, but the vast majority of my work at Epic has been on Fortnite, which is a upcoming title. It's in closed alpha right now. It's not released yet. It's a 3D action building game. You can build like these gigantic forts of your, you know, your dreams and play with your friends, and it's an online RPG kind of stuff. So it's been really interesting. It kind of like, it's an amazing opportunity day to day to like work on all of these gameplay systems that like when you play these big games that you're like dreaming about, all manifested in one spot, right? So, you know, get to work on moment-to-moment combat, get to working on making those kind of things feel good, get to work on building RPG parts and like people experience, you know, going through progression in an RPG. So the part I like best about my job is always a tricky, I think, tricky thing to answer, because again, it's a multifaceted thing. If I absolutely was pressed and had to pick a single thing, it would probably be my coworkers, honestly, right? Like they all work so hard. They're all super passionate about what they do. They know so many things. So, you know, every day I go to work, it's like, you're kind of working with your friends, first off, but then they're friends who are really smart and know a ton of things about a ton of things that you don't know, right? And so you just show up and you like absorb and leech a little bit off of that, and hopefully you transfer some back out the other way. But you know, you just show up, you have a good time, and you just like learn so much from so many people. So, I mean, for me, like having now graduated, gone through the process and used it, I'd say FIEA basically worked for me, right? It did what I hoped in my dreams that it would accomplish. I went in not necessarily knowing what to expect, knowing that I wanted to be in games. And I left, I feel like almost completely transformed in a way, right? Professionally, it was awesome because you get all this experience with real tools and staff that have real industry experience, right? They know what they're talking about. They've gone through these problems if you're willing to listen and not ignore them. And I think the part that I definitely in a million years wouldn't have expected, but I am super grateful, is even like the personal transformation that I went through. And because, you know, I came out of undergrad and I was just ridiculously shy. Like, I was the guy who hung out in the corner, and like I was kind of the stereotypical computer science student, like, oh, he doesn't talk to anybody and never does anything. And you get put in these group situations, and at first it's like I was really worried. It's gonna be, this isn't comfortable, right? But you end up with like people who are like you feel like friends. It kind of opens it up, you know, you get used to it. And I just went through like this whole process that I feel like changed even how my character is, right? Like I'm more open to talking to people, like easier to work with all these different groups and accomplish things. And it's so key to my day-to-day job, right? Like I always am working with all these different disciplines. I have to go have conversations with artists. I need to like help guide this designer. We're gonna make these things together. And the version of me that was out of undergrad, I don't think would have been able to succeed at that. Like I would have probably just clammed up in a corner, you know, and cried under my desk. But going to FIEA, you know, it opens your eyes to those things and it teaches you how important that kind of stuff is. And so, yeah, you're learning the professional skills you need, you're learning the tools, you're learning skills and the knowledge you should have, but you're also learning interpersonal skills that are hard, I think, to put a price tag on.